Picking up where we left off in part 1, the world's greatest detective hit a wall when it came to his place in movie theaters. Batman and Robin was a major disaster, and Batman would disappear from the cinema for a long time. Batman was ready to return in the mid-2000s, with all of the neon colors stripped away and ready to get back to his darker roots. Welcome to Average J's Movies and TV, the place where you can find all you want to know about movies and television. Today, we are taking a look at the journey of the Dark Knight in the film industry, picking up with the Dark Knight trilogy all the way through the current sequel in development for Robert Pattinson is The Batman. Put your capes on as we take a look at the history of Batman in movies. Warner Brothers knew they couldn't afford another failure. Batman needed to be taken seriously again, and the man chosen to do that was director Christopher Nolan. Nolan wasn't interested in making a typical comic book movie. Instead, he wanted to ground Batman in reality, to make audiences believe that a man like Bruce Wayne could actually exist. That approach would redefine the character for an entire generation. In 2005, Christopher Nolan released Batman Begins, a complete reboot of the franchise. The film starred Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, who was coming off of groundbreaking roles in The Machinist and American Psycho, alongside Michael Caine as Alfred, Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon, and Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. For the first time in live-action film, audiences were shown Bruce Wayne's full journey and origin story, not just as Batman, but as a broken child, a lost young man, and finally, a hero shaped by fear, discipline, and choice. Batman Begins explored Bruce's training with the League of Shadows, his understanding of fear, and his decision to become a symbol rather than a vigilante. Gotham City was portrayed as grounded, corrupt, and realistic, not stylized or exaggerated, but lived in and believable. Batman Begins took inspiration from Frank Miller's Batman Year One comic, including the scene where Batman uses a high-frequency sonic device to call a massive swarm of bats for backup as he is looking to save Rachel's life. The film wasn't an instant box office explosion, but it received critical praise for its mature tone, strong performances, and intelligent storytelling. More importantly, it restored credibility to Batman as a cinematic character, and laid the foundation for something much bigger. 3 years later, in 2008, Nolan returned with The Dark Knight, and this is where everything changed. The Dark Knight wasn't just a great superhero movie, it was a cultural event, a crime epic, a psychological thriller. And for many, the greatest comic book movie ever made. At the center of it all was Heath Ledger's Joker, a performance that redefined what a comic book villain could be. The casting, much like Michael Keaton's casting in the late 80s, caused a lot of anger with hardcore fans who didn't think Heath could pull it off, and boy, were they wrong. Ledger's Joker was chaotic, terrifying, unpredictable, and deeply philosophical. He wasn't trying to rule Gotham. He just wanted to watch it burn. The film explored themes of chaos versus order, morality, and the cost of heroism. Batman was pushed to his absolute limits, forced to make impossible choices, and ultimately take the blame for crimes he didn't commit in order to protect Gotham's hope. Tragically, Heath Ledger passed away before the film's release. His performance became legendary, earning him a posthumous Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, the first time an acting Oscar was awarded for a comic book role. The Dark Knight was a massive success, both critically and financially, breaking box office records and elevating Batman and superhero films as a whole to an entirely new level. In 2012, Nolan concluded his trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises, an ambitious, emotional finale set 8 years after the events of the previous film. But this time, Batman faces Bane, a physically imposing and intellectually dangerous adversary. Played by Tom Hardy, Bane breaks Bruce Wayne both physically and spiritually, forcing him to confront whether Batman can still exist in a world that has moved on. The film explored themes of legacy, sacrifice, and redemption. Bruce Wayne's journey finally comes full circle, as he learns that Batman was never about vengeance, it was about inspiring others. While The Dark Knight Rises was more divisive than its predecessor, it was still a massive success, and it brought Nolan's grounded, realistic Batman saga to a powerful conclusion. ending one of the most respected trilogies in film history. After Nolan's trilogy ended, Warner Brothers once again found themselves at a crossroads. Batman was more popular than ever. But how do you follow perfection? The answer was to reinvent him again. This time, as part of a shared cinematic universe. By the time The Dark Knight Rises was released, Marvel Studios were well out in front of DC, with their first Avengers movie releasing that same year. In 2016, Batman returned in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which was a sequel to Henry Cavill's Man of Steel and the second film in the DC Extended Universe. Directed by Zack Snyder, and portrayed by Ben Affleck. Affleck's Batman was older, more brutal, more cynical. A version of the character inspired heavily by Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. This was a Batman who had been fighting crime for decades and had lost faith in humanity. The film centered on Batman's fear of Superman and the destruction left behind after the events of Man of Steel. Bruce Wayne sees Superman not as a hero, but as a threat. Batman v Superman was ambitious and dark, darker than even the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Too dark in some people's opinions. Fans generally praised Affleck's performance, the warehouse fight scene, the epic nightmare scene, and the comic-accurate portrayal of an older Batman. Others criticized the film's pacing, tone, convoluted storytelling, and of course, the Martha scene. Regardless of reception, Ben Affleck's Batman left a strong impression. His physicality, presence, and weary performance made him one of the most intimidating versions of the character ever put on screen. Batman returned again in Justice League in 2017, this time leading a team of heroes including Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. However, the production was plagued by behind-the-scenes issues, including major studio interference and a change in directors, due to a family tragedy for Zack Snyder. The theatrical cut of Justice League was a box office bomb and heavily criticized. While Ben Affleck had a solo Batman film in development, he would not move forward as the Caped Crusader after this, with the exception of a small role in the Flash movie, which starred Ezra Miller and also had Michael Keaton return to play Batman as well. With the DC Extended Universe in flux once again, Warner Brothers decided to start fresh, separating Batman from shared universes entirely and returning to a standalone vision. In 2022, The Batman was released, directed by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson as the Dark Knight. The film drew heavy inspiration from the Long Halloween comic series, with a serial killer mystery driving the plot and corruption among Gotham's elite. This version of Batman focused heavily on detective work, something rarely explored in previous films. Set during Bruce Wayne's second year as Batman, the film portrayed him as obsessive, emotionally damaged, and still learning what it truly means to be a hero. Gotham City was depicted as grimy, flooded, and decaying, almost a character in itself. Paul Dano's Riddler was reimagined as a disturbing serial killer inspired by real-world crime, and he was fantastic in the role, despite what Quentin Tarantino might say about him. And the film leaned heavily into noir and psychological horror elements. Pattinson's performance surprised many skeptics, delivering a quiet, intense, and deeply internal portrayal of Bruce Wayne. This wasn't a polished billionaire playboy. It was a man consumed by his mission. The Batman was a critical and commercial success, praised for its atmosphere, cinematography, score, and bold reinvention of the character, proving once again that Batman can be endlessly reinterpreted and still resonate with audiences. At the time of this video, a sequel to The Batman is currently in development, with Pattinson returning to play the Caped Crusader, and rumors are that there will be a significant role for Scarlett Johansson in the sequel. We look forward to seeing that. From grounded realism, to mythic crime sagas, to shared universes, and stripped-down detective noir, Batman has survived every cinematic era, because at his core, he's more than a superhero. He's a symbol. And no matter how many times he falls, the Dark Knight always rises. Thank you for joining us. Please share this video with your friends and Batman fans. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications to find out more fascinating facts about the world of movies and television. What was your favorite Batman movie, and who was your favorite actor who portrayed the Caped Crusader? Let us know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, check out all of our other videos on the channel, including the history of Superman in movies and part 1 of the history of Batman in movies. We appreciate your support. If you have a movie or TV show that you are interested in learning more about, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all and be safe.